ought to start off is, what does Akashic Records mean to you?
So, when I think of the Akashic Records, I think of kind of like a library. And that might be because I'm a reader. I always have been. Like, I love books. And it's just sort of like this conscious, ethereal library where you can go. It's really a compendium of past, present, and future. So every thought, action, everything that we've done is recorded here. And you can go to find that and to see where there's wounding and where there's healing and, what your purpose is. And yeah, it's just this really wonderful place. And it's a very high vibrational plane. And I love being in there. And I love doing this. It's been really, really wonderful.
Do you think that there's some correlation between like the idea of it being a library and the fact that that's like our interpretation of knowledge as just like this human experience?
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's probably exactly why my brain goes there, right? Like, it is. Like, if you think of like looking up information, I mean, I guess I could say it's like a cloud, right? but I'm still one of those elder millennials, so I did go to the library to get my information. So yeah, that's where you get knowledge. It's wonderful. I love it. And it's very
like
safe too, which I feel like, yeah, exactly.
Well, what makes it, when you say it's safe, what do you mean by that?
Well, I just mean like, growing up, like going to the library, if we're kind of continuing on with that stream of thought, that was like a safe place. It's quiet. It's like the librarians, know everything, right? The ascended masters and the teachers. I also do all of my work through the Akashic Records. So even if I'm doing a mediumship reading, I'm going to be in the records to do that. I don't just go into the spirit realm. I'm going to go into the Akashic Records because that's where I feel safe. And I know that my own ascended masters, teachers, and ancestors are going to be there to have my back. My mom had bought a house when I was in, I think it was like 5th grade. So I was like 10 or 11. And I remember there was definitely a spirit there. Somebody would be playing with my cat. I would be hearing footsteps. Radios would go off. The TV would turn on. Lights, and then also just that sense I sensed. I just was very aware that I was not alone in that house. And just weird things moving, pictures falling, very just paranormal, like basic paranormal stuff. And my mom would get pissed at me. She would be like, it's enough with this, there's not. And there was this really odd instance where one of the windows broke and my mom was home and she was like, what happened? She came into my room and she was like, what happened? And I was like, oh, I was going to ask you the same thing. Cause I'm chilling. And the cops came and the window had broken in a way where it had to have broken from the inside, not the outside. And nobody was in my mother's bedroom at the time. Oh, wow. And the cops had kind of told my mom, well, we used to come to this residence a lot. And she said, well, how come? And they were like, well, there was the guy that lived here prior to you, who's now deceased, had a lot of mental problems. And he committed suicide in the house. Trigger warning. And my mom was like, oh, that's why it was on the market. And that's why I got it for such a deal. Right. And I was just like, and that's who is in this house. I just knew it was the validation I needed. So yeah, that.
Was it this instant with this guy or in this house where you were just did you say something out loud? Did you feel something where you were like, I no longer want to see this or feel this, and it got closed?
Yeah, I think it was fear. And while I still had that sense, so the sense never left me, I didn't ever have direct contact again. And that is fear. And so a lot of people that actually do want to open their channel, or even come to the records, they'll say I want a reading, but I'm scared. And it's like, I understand. And also, you know, anything that you want to do in life, whether you want to start your own business or communicate with dead people, like if you're afraid, you might not like get there, because that is a huge block. And so I blocked myself as much as I could. And
So
that fear was that block. So I didn't think too much about my fear when I started to reopen my channel. It was more just like, oh, I wonder what that was, or if it was real kind of thing. Because again, like I said, I didn't have any validation when I was a child. And I was living in Los Angeles with my ex-wife, and we had a doggy daycare / hotel that we owned. It was really cool. And there were all these dogs all the time, and it was really fun. But I like also had a lot of downtime, and I was like just hanging out with dogs. So I was like, I had a lot of time in my head. And I was definitely also very much picking up on like energy and different communication with these animals too. So that also, because it was fun and I liked it and I liked communicating with the animals, and that was a very safe thing. I think that helped to open my channel. Well, you know, I was talking to my spirit guides, like I had said, and said like, you know, I would like to explore it. So if you want to like slowly help me out here, you know, and I would start to do exercises to open my third eye and just sort of take beats. I guess you would call it meditation, but I don't think it was consciously meditation at that time. And we had a dog who was a regular with us, and his mom and dad, they were a couple and they were to be married. They were engaged. They went to Austin for a family wedding. And while there, they got into a really bad car accident. And it was our client and her fiance, and then her mom and dad in the car. Her and her mom passed away, and her fiance was okay. And her father was like in critical condition. Well, she came to the doggy hotel pretty straight away to see her dog, and she would not leave me. And it was essentially, she realized that I knew she was there and was like, hey, I need your help. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm not afraid of you, but like also like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know what I'm doing. This feels serious. And so for days, she just followed me around, and we were like obviously in contact with her fiance saying like, don't worry about the dog. Like, obviously he is fine here as long as need be. And I told my ex-wife at the time, I told her, I said like, you know, the dog's mom is like here. And she was like, well, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't know what it means, but like, she's telling me to help her and I don't know what to do. And she said that the spirit, she kept saying butterflies. Just tell him about the butterflies and he'll know it's me. Just tell him about the butterflies. He'll know it's me. I just need him to know that I'm okay.
And this is the husband?
Yeah, her fiance. She wanted me to relay this message. And I'm like, lady, how freaky is that going to be? Like, I don't know this guy. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is like my business. This is my livelihood. And so I told her, I said, okay, listen, you know what? If I'm the one that is here when he comes to pick up the dog and I'm the one to hand him off, I will tell him. Knowing that was very unlikely because I wasn't usually the one, like an employee, like somebody else.
Well,
like that was not quick, generally.
I feel like this is gonna be a pivotal point. Like, what makes it unlikely that you would be the one handing it off?
I just always kind of had like an employee do that. Like that was such an easy like job that like I was always like doing something else that was more important. Does that make sense? Than like saying goodbye to the dog. Like I was like doing inventory or in the office or running errands. Like, what are the odds that I would be the one, right? Mm-hmm. So when he comes, I am the only one there. And I'm like, you're kidding me right now.
Oh, fuck.
Well, frankly, can I swear on this?
Yeah. Yeah, pitch it.
Okay. I totally,
uncensored.
yeah, I totally bitched out. Like, I did not say anything to him. I was just like, I'm so sorry. You know, we're here for you. Like, whatever you need, blah, blah, blah. He left, and she straight up, like, it was so weird. I was walking back down the hall, and it was almost like I lost control of my body, and I just, like, flew out to the parking lot, like, ran full speed. Like, I was like, oh my God, what? Like, it was not me. And I was like, excuse me, so sorry. This is, I'm so sorry. I'm like shaking. Just thinking about it is like taking me back to that place. I was so scared in this moment to like tell this man that like your fiance has been hanging out here for the last week. And I said, listen, I don't know how this is going to come off. I don't know, you know, I don't mean to offend you or upset you, but you know, your fiance, I believe, has been here with the dog, and she really wants you to know that she's okay. And she's also talking about butterflies a lot. And he got really quiet. And I said, like, that's all I have. That's all I have for you. I don't know. That's it, you know? And he got quiet, and he said, you know, she was a teacher. And I said, oh, okay, you know? And he said, they're building a butterfly garden for her at her school.
Jeez.
And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, you don't know how much this means to me. Thank you. And I just said, you're welcome. Have a good day. Goodbye. And like walked in. And then I said, okay, I did it. Like, you need to go. You need to leave me be now. And she said, well, you could also please contact my father because he lost me and my mother. And like, we're both here. And I was like, girl, you're crazy. So I was like, no. Well, I was in the office looking through client paperwork, and I just like happened to turn to this page of her dog and like her instructions that she had like written out that we kept on file. And in her handwriting, it was all typed, beautifully typed. In her handwriting, she has Kate's dad's cell with a arrow pointing to this phone number.
And her name was
And
Kate.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, and I just closed the book and I said, I'm not going to do that. Please understand that this man has lost two of the most important people in his life. I am not going to be the stranger that contacts him to let him know that you're okay. Like, find a different medium. Like, and she left. She accepted that and like left. But that was kind of like the reintegration into my gift where I was like, okay, I guess that's real.
Kind of ties into like, I guess, a lot of things that I've been, even this discussion earlier with regards to, you know, you'll see what you need to see when you need to see it. And, you know, there's a reason that you need to see it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And where was I going with that? Something along the lines of like, oh, like you were saying, like that was something in the Journey of Souls book is where like it would almost be blocking even the medium if he wasn't ready to like learn the knowledge or to remember that knowledge. Yeah. And so I guess I find it really fascinating how there's this like almost dance at play between, you know, what you're allowed to see and like what is actually available for you to see. And then on top of that, it seems like, you know, when you get this incarnation, there's a level of like what lessons, like we decide what lessons we need to learn when we come into this life. And so it's almost like, okay, well, you know, we're going to just show you those lessons. You know what I mean? Like we're only going to show you these Akashic visions that pertain to these lessons that you said, hey, I want to learn from these.
Yeah. You know, it also reminds me of plant medicine. I know that we've kind of talked about that before we started recording. Say ayahuasca, for example. She's not going to show you what you're not ready for.
Yeah, and I've heard stories.
Right? And so it's all.
Yeah, I've heard stories of where people are like told, like, you know, if they come there for the wrong reasons. Like I've heard who told me this? I forget who told me. It may have been on the podcast, but I remember hearing stories about like if you're kind of going there just to have fun and just to trip out, you know, when you take it, it'll be like, no, you need to leave. Like you're not here for the right reason. This isn't for you. Like it'll literally push you out the door.
Yeah, that happened to somebody that was, I've done it. I guess we can sort of transition into that story
sure.
now, but that's sort of how I came to the Akashic Records and started my own healing journey. And I can tell you that even though I've had gifts since I was a child, I would not be able to do the work that I'm doing now had I not gone on my own very intense dark night of the soul journey, shadow work, Saturn return, whatever you want to call it. I, at 27, found myself divorced, living with my parents, had nothing. My business, I had nothing. I literally had nothing to my name except for a lot of debt and feeling like I was literally broken. Our generation, with like the internet, like everything is just at our hands and we have everything within a day or two of wanting it. You know, you just put the order in and it's here within 24 hours. And so I think that we've gotten sort of lost and on that, in that. And now even when it comes to like love and relationships, you know, we're just like, I want it now. And so, you know, I want to be married. Do you want to be married too? Okay, cool. Let's get started. And it's like, wait.
Hey, we got a lot of other things we got to figure out here. A lot more building blocks.
Exactly.
And I think that's also interesting because it kind of ties into manifestation where, you know, it's like we have like, you know, there's certain goals I feel like, especially for me, where I set out and it's like, well, if I even accomplish this in my lifetime, like pat myself on the back, I'm happy, that's good. However, if it hasn't occurred in 2 weeks, it's like, then you start thinking, oh, this isn't working. Something's wrong. Is there something wrong with me? Is there trauma I need to heal? And it's just like, we need to like take a second to just like let the universe unfold as it will.
So I love manifesting. I love talking about it. I actually just did a live this past week on it a couple of days ago on Instagram. And one of the things that I talk about is patience. You know, we just don't have that. And so it's like, oh, I want $10,000. And if it's not in my account tomorrow, then this is broken. And it's like, you know, you don't go to a coffee shop and put your coffee order in and then be like, well, it's been 30 seconds, so it's obviously not coming. Like, you just chill, you let it go, and then your name is called and you leave the coffee shop with the thing that you ordered. And so people need to treat manifesting just that way of like, I'm putting my order in, the order is set, that is mine. The chai tea latte with oat milk is mine, right? I'm waiting for my name to be called and it's any minute. Like, I'm going to let it go until that happens. And so, you know, also being aware of, you know, I want a chai tea latte, but that's not going to put it in my hands. I have to go order the chai tea latte, right? And so people will say like, well, I want this, but it's not coming to me. And it's like, okay, but have you put your order in, or are you telling the universe that you want to keep wanting? Right. And also letting it go. You know, you can't be obsessing over it. You can't be wondering, because if you're like, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? When is it going to come? The universe is like, when are you going to shut up and let me give it to you?
Yeah. It's like,
you know,
it's like it tries to orchestrate the most mystical and profound way for it to come into your life too. It's like, you know, it's not going to be exactly how you expected it. And there's kind of a beauty to it as well when that happens.
Yeah, a divine beauty. And it also allows us to release some of that control, which is honestly, I think, a collective thing that we need to like master. We have free will, which is really incredible, but it's also a double-edged sword, right? Like, the records will say, someone will say like, well, should I take this job? And the records will say, do you want this job? Like, you understand that you don't need to ask us for permission because it is up to you. And we will support you regardless. Now, is this job of your highest good? Well, it's high stress. It's this, it's that. You can expect this. So based on that, what are you going to do? They're not going to tell you turn left because they understand that you can turn right if you want to. And they don't want to take our free will from us, right? But we also have this thing of control, and that we have to control everything, and we want everything at our fingertips. And so when it comes to the universe, first of all, time is like not a thing outside of this earth plane. So like let go of like timelines. Like if you tell the universe, like I want this in 6 days, the universe is going to be like, that means nothing to me, but I'll get you it. But
well,
there's no tracking number.
There's no track. Your analogies are on point, or metaphors.
Thank you.
But so then this is actually an interesting thing